I am on the road in the 2025 Ford Expedition Tremor, a new trim for this redesigned version of the Expedition. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I really like it. Now, I'm doing just a little over 100 kilometers an hour here on a 400 series highway in Ontario. Yes, it is a little noisy because of these 33-inch all-terrain tires, but not as bad as you might think. And that is by design. Ford said it worked with General to design a tire that wouldn't generate too much noise while also not sacrificing too much off-road ability. And that gives you a sense of just how serious it was about this Tremor package on the Expedition. Something important to note, this does replace the Timberline, which I did think was kind of cool, but I gotta be honest, all of these anodized accents, both inside and out, look a whole hell of a lot better, and so does this vehicle overall. I really like the design, and I'll be honest with you, I think it is really hard to make a full-size SUV look good. Just ask Jeep. Yikes, and I don't necessarily mean that as a slight. It's more of, I don't know, an empathetic observation. That's not a very good looking vehicle if you take a look at the Wagoneer or the Grand Wagoneer, because it is hard to make these things look good. They end up being very slab-sided or maybe a little bit too busy, which is the case with that front end. But this one I really like, and the Tremor treatment just makes it that much better. Now, there is an entire Expedition lineup made up of 4 trims. You have the Active, that's the entry-level version, and then there's the Platinum, and then there's this Tremor and the King Ranch that sits at the very top. But I am gonna focus on this one, mostly because I like it, but also because it doesn't feel like it's gone too far to the extreme with the ruggedness. So this does drive like just about any other Expedition in the lineup. Yes, they do get more luxurious. They also get bigger wheels, so you get 22s when you get up to the top of the lineup. These smaller 18s, I believe they are, with these 33-inch tires, a lot squishier. Yes, they do change the character, but not that much. This thing is actually very easy to drive. It's very smooth and comfortable. It doesn't feel nearly as big as it is. That's true both on the road and on the trail. One big difference here that is shared with the Platinum version is what's under the hood, because it has the same 3.5-liter twin turbocharged V6 that's used across the rest of the Expedition lineup, but it is a high output version. And let me tell you, there is an awful lot of it. So you get 440 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque versus 400 horsepower and 480 pound-feet. Either way, that's a lot, but you know, if you are four-wheeling, it is nice to have that extra kick, and this does deliver. There's also all kinds of off-road goodies here, a bunch of skid plates, revised suspension tuning, it rides a little bit higher. There's also a rock crawl mode and a new electronic locking rear differential that automatically engages in both off-road and rock crawl mode, or you can manually engage it with this button down here by your left knee. That's very handy, because if you want to keep those wheels spinning at a constant rate, just go ahead, hit that button, and you can do it. That's handy on loose surfaces, and that's true if you're towing as well. I don't know, if you're trying to pull a boat out of the water or something like that, you might want to lock your rear diff, so you can do that without having to engage either off-road or rock crawl modes. That is very nice to see. Now, whether you're on a back road or the highway or a trail, this thing does handle very nicely, but I gotta say, this sort of oblong steering wheel that's becoming more common, not just in Ford and Lincoln's lineup, but the industry as a whole. Remember, I reviewed that Lucid Gravity not too long ago. That had the same style of steering wheel, and I just don't love it, especially off-road, or if you need to make an evasive maneuver, because yes, you should keep your hands at 9 and 3 on the wheel, but we all know you get caught in a situation where you're kind of grabbing at it in different areas, and this flat top and bottom is just kind of weird, especially if you have it entirely horizontal versus vertical. It changes the way the wheel feels. But other than that, like I said, handling is great, so is braking, in that power delivery. That's 10-speed transmission. It's pretty well tuned, so it matches well with what the rest of the vehicle is doing. And I gotta say, that's true of the space in here as well. Yes, it is huge. Yes, there is a ton of space, but I like the execution and the arrangement in here with this new Ford digital experience. So you have this massive digital display up here that gives you all your driver information. You can even pull a map view up here on the right-hand side. And then you've got a separate 13.2-inch touchscreen down low, and that's where you can have your Apple CarPlay, as well as a bunch of other features, including your climate controls, but all of it plays really nicely together. But my favorite part about it is that it sits so low on the dash, so it is not distracting. You are focused on the road ahead. What do they say? Eyes up and out. That is very much the case, but you can just quickly glance down, check your speed or whatever else you need to take a look at, and then look back up at the road. So you still have what's going on around you in your periphery, and that to me is a great execution of a user experience. All right, now that we've jumped off the highway, I do want to talk about the off-road experience. Yes, we were at a very curated kind of off-road course that was set up for us, but there were some challenging obstacles. Now, I will say, if you want to do real proper four-wheeling, you're probably going to want to go with something like a Bronco. But if you want to get out there every once in a while, or you have a big family, this is a great way to do it, because don't forget, it's the same treatment that's available with the F-150. You can get the Tremor package there. And so it is cool to have it in this 3-row SUV, but here is my biggest sticking point, because yes, you get all kinds of amenities in here, but this Tremor version I'm driving, it's about $107,000 before tax. And that is so much money, especially for a mainstream off-roader, because yes, I know if you take a look at something like the Land Rover Defender 130, that's a little bit smaller than this, or even the Lexus GX, also the Lexus LX, those are off-roaders from premium brands, so they are well into six-figure territory. The fact that this has a Ford badge on the front makes it a little harder to swallow. That is a massive asking price if you ask me. It's also not fully loaded at that price. If you want Blue Cruise, which is Ford's hands-free highway driving assist, you have to pay more for it. The same goes with connectivity. If you want the Wi-Fi hotspot, it is cool that Ford now offers an unlimited connectivity package, so you don't have monthly or annual bills. But if you want that, it's going to cost you a couple grand more. Add it all up and you are into serious six-figure territory. And don't forget, that means you have luxury tax on top of it too. That to me is the one thing that stands out as troubling, but there are a couple cheaper trims. So you have the Active, that's about 85 grand, and then you have the Platinum, that's 99, and then at the top of the lineup, there's the King Ranch, that's 110,000 bucks before extras. Those are the three ways to get the Expedition Max, the long wheelbase, long body version if you need even more space. That is not the case with this Tremor. That's important to note. You can only get it on the standard Expedition. I'm telling you right now, there's a lot of vehicle here. There is a lot to like, but it just feels like it's a little expensive, especially this Tremor, because if you take a look at the Timberline that it replaces, that was about $11,000 less last year than this one. That to me is a massive. And yes, this does come with some extras. The suspension tuning alone, that e-locker in the back, the skid plates, you can see where at least some of the money has gone, but not all of it, in my opinion. Yes, it's a capable vehicle, but it's an expensive one. But then again, yes, there are some others like it, like the Chevrolet Tahoe with the Z7-1 package. But I mean, this is a very cool and capable vehicle that has all kinds of off-road goodies, but it doesn't feel compromised. That much I like. Just be prepared to pay to play.